Hello everyone. Today the video will be about elevator control with kantech system. Yes, with kantech we can manage elevator up to 64 floor with any Entropass. Let's take a quick look. Elevator control with kantech. We can use any Entropass software that can be special edition, corporate, an Intivo, global. Any Entropass will do. As for controller, we can use KT300 or KT315. We can use KT400. So we have those three controller. 300, 215, which pretty much is the same controller, or KT400. Then we're going to need relay module or output module. The KT300 and 315, they use the same module, output module, relay module, input module. The same for the KT300, KT315. KT400 has its own module. Now, before we go further, let's make two important notes. As you can see in my screen, if using output module, that can be KT300, 315 output module, the one we have in the top, KT-PC4216. That can also be a KT400 output module, KT-MOD out 16. If we're using either one of those, physical relay, for example, the KT-IM1, the one we have in kantech, are required to be connected on each output controlling a floor. Why? Because when we're using output board, we have more output, but each one of those has voltage. Since we cannot bring voltage to the elevator equipment, we have to add relay, normal relay to each one of those. That was the first node. The second node, depending on the amount of expansion module we're going to use to control the floors, it may require additional power supply. Please refer to your installation guide so you can do your proper calculation to know if you need to repower or no. Okay, so those are the two notes you need to keep in mind. Then we can move on. We have two examples. For example, right now, KT300, 315. If we're using KT300, 315, remember, we can use either relay. On the left, we have an example with relay. In KT300, 315, the relay board has 4 relay each module. For example, we have 1 cab, 4 floor. We can use 1 relay board because it has 4 relay and 4 floor. That's all we need. Now, 1 cab, for example, 1 cab, 16 floor, we're going to need 4 of those module because each one of those got 4. If we take a look on the right, 1 cab, 16 floor, if we're using output module, we just need 1 because 1 output module come with 16 output. Of course, we're going to need 1 additional relay, like 16 floor, we'll need 1 relay, 16 KTRM1, 1 for each floor. And we can go on up to 64 floor, either with the relay module or output module. Now, KT300 to 15, they can manage two doors. With one of those controller, we can also manage two elevator. I mean, let's say we could either manage two doors or two elevator, or we can manage one access control door, one elevator door. Okay. We have another example with KT400. Same way to your design. We could say as for the relay in the KT400, each relay module, they have 8 available relay on board. Meaning the example we did earlier for 16 floor, one cab 16 floor, we will need 2 relay module. If we're using output module, we still need one because it's 16 output in that output module as well. And again, we can go up to 64 floor, like we said before. Now, the KT400 controller can manage 4 door or 4 cab or a mix of both. So we have an application note available to help you step by step with your design, with your part list, what you're going to need, and with your programming. All right. Now, what we're going to do today, we'll have one elevator with 8 floor. That's the scenario we're going to implement from design, installation, testing, programming, and testing. We decided to use a KT400. Now, the installation is done already, but we're going to do a simulation in-house. Here is, as you can see, is the elevator. We have the kantech IOProx reader installed inside the cab. And in here we have the lobby. We have SS stand for sous-sol. It's a French name, but we could say that's the underground. Then you have floor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These customer require the lobby to be always available, meaning no matter which floor you're at, of course, once you get inside the cab, you can go to the lobby, get out. So that's why we going to do the design for 8 floor, considering the basement and floor 1 to 7, because the lobby will be always on. So we're just gonna skip that. Okay, now we're going to use Entropas Corporate. Remember, we can use any Entropas. We choose to use Corporate. We're going to use a KT400 controller, and we'll go with a relay module. Let's take a closer look as for the equipment. KT400 controller and the relay module. The relay has 8 relay on board for the KT400, and each relay has a LED, so we'll be able to know if a relay is activated or deactivated just by looking at the relay when it's communicating, the relay board. How to connect those? KT400 has SPI port. On the left in here, we see the SPI port. We'll take a look at the installation we have in here. So we're going to have a cable going from the SPI port to the relay module. Pretty much that's it. Of course, we need to get the controller itself installed, program, communicating. Then we install the relay module. We define that and we move on. Okay. Now we're getting to hands-on. All right, so let's confirm what we have. Surprise. Yes, we in-house now. Let's confirm. We have our demo. We have our kantech demo equipment. We have a relay module, KT400 relay module, and you can see the SPI cable going from the module to the SPI port on the controller. See if you can give us some light. All right, even we could take a closer look. Yes, we have the KT400 relay module, the cable going to the SPI port. As for the elevator equipment itself, we have a reader already ready, and it's currently going to the reader position 3 in the controller. So when we go into the programming, we know it's door 3. You're connected to the door 3. All right. As for the elevator equipment itself, let's take a look. Right now, we have all the floor enabled. If somebody gets in that cab right now, they can go anywhere because the elevator control, it's not programmed yet. When it's not programmed or when it's down, it's the same situation. For example, if the customer shut down the elevator control, the elevator will be free access. You can go everywhere, any floor. So once we activate it, we're starting the programming and we enable the relay module, we'll find out all those floors, they will be inaccessible, no access until somebody swipe with an access granted, allowing him to go to some specific floor. Okay, now let's take a look at the Entropass. Entropass Corporate. Let's log in. All right, getting in now. Of course, we should already have our controller communicating. Yep, we have a KT400 IP device communication. Okay, so we can proceed. Let's take a look at the controller itself. KT400 controller is ready. We have an alarm there. We know what it is because we don't have a battery backup connected to the controller right now. Okay, now we're ready to start with the programming. Let's just take a look at our application node. That's we're going to have that available for you. Configuration of elevator control using Entropass. So we're going to do that in 2 steps. Step 1, we're going to program the logical component. For example, the floor group, we need that. And then we're going to set up the relay module and link those components, the floor group to each relay, and then we're going to move on. So that's pretty much what we're going to have to do. First, we're going to start with floor definition. We're going to definition floor. Remember, in that situation here, we have 8 floor 1 to 8, and then we have the basement. In definition floor, we got the floor 1, then we're going to go floor 2, and then up to 7 and then the basement as we said. Floor 7 and then we have the basement. In that customer system is called SS, standing for French name meaning sous-sol. Alright, so we create the first part is definition, floors, we create those. Those pretty much they like label. Now the control itself will be done with what we call floor group. But in order to create the floor group, we need the floor. So now we can create the floor group. How are we going to do that? I do new, then we have floor group 1, just select the first floor. That's what we're going to do until we get all of them done. Floor group 2, just select the second floor, which was the label. Now it's a elevator control component. That's what we're going to need to link to the physical component, which gonna be the relay. All right, so I'm going to keep moving. Now we're doing the basement. All right, so we have each floor has been duplicated, linked to the floor group. Now we can create group, really grouping floors. What that means, you might have the customer giving you a list and saying, okay, we have some tenant or some user, they're gonna have access to floor 1, to floor 3, to floor 7, for example. So we're going to create the group, meaning we can have one user with that access. When they swipe, those 3 floors will be available to them. Who knows? Maybe we're gonna have another example for floor 1 and 3, and so on. We can make any combination any way the customer might need. These can be done. All right. And now we also, if we want to, we could create schedule, unlock schedule, and assign that to some floor. For example, we could say the basement, we create an unlock schedule and add that to the basement from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., meaning 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. No, you don't need to swipe to have access because these will be unlocked automatically during that schedule. Okay, so we have that part done. Now, next step, let's take a look at the application note. We have the logical component ready, floor and floor group. Now we're going to set up our module and continue with the programming. We go to devices, controller, find our way to the controller we're using for the elevator control. SPI module configuration. Now we're adding the relay module. In here we have the software want to know that relay, are you gonna use it right away? If not, you can just program it and let it there for use for later. Or you can use it as relay. If we use it as relay, we'll have more relay available in the controller for access control. But today we want to use that for elevator equipment. So we select use as elevator equipment. Once we do, once that selection is made, we have in here the option elevator. Now, which of those doors will be the elevator door? In my controller right now, remember that was door 3, so I select door 3. Now, the relay board, we need to make the proper selection. Each relay board has 8 relay. That could be output module also. In that case, one output can be split by two group of 8. Now, since it's relay and that's the first relay, so that's going to be automatically 1 to 8. All right. Now I'm going to switch my screen because once I hit save, I want you to be able to see what's happening in the relay itself. Let me change screen so you can see. Okay, you're looking at the screen. Look at the relay board and the elevator equipment. I'm gonna click save. Here we go. Once the save button is clicked, meaning I told Entropass we have this relay module and we will be using it for elevator control. Two things happen. First, the relay, since it was already wired properly, is linked and is activated, defined. Automatically, the relay, all the relay came on. You see all the LED, they all up and running. They all up. Why is that? Because in our system, what we have done with once you have a relay module defined for elevator control, the relay is automatically activated, meaning you need to do your wiring accordingly, knowing all the relay, they will be up, meaning the floor are disabled. Now, why we have done that is because if we unpower the elevator control equipment, relay will lose power and it will switch automatically state. Now all the flow will become available. That's why we have done that. If for any reason, maybe the customer just decide, you know what, let's just remove elevator control for now, the time to get every user knowing how to use that, get them the proper card and stuff like that. So once they disable, power down the control, elevator control, the elevator will be free access. Maybe that's an emergency, that's for any reason why the access control goes down, the elevator will be automatically back to free access. And as you can see in the elevator board, like simulation that inside the cabinet, since the access control is up and running, only the lobby is accessible now. Why? Because now you need to have a proper access to go in any other floor than the lobby. Some tests, but let's finish first with the programming. I have to switch back to screen. Let's do that, and we're going to move on with the programming. Okay, so now we have the relay defined and ready. What next? We're not done yet. Devices controller, because remember we have the floor group ready, but we didn't link them yet. I mean, the system don't know which is which. Now, in my screen, you notice that I have elevator. I have a tab saying elevator. Okay. Now we're going to link the component, physical component to the logical component. Let's go, we know that's .3, so let's go here, make the proper link. So here I have, I'm linking the floor. The way I did my design, I have the basement set up so I don't need not getting lost in the wiring. All right, I select the door, apply to cab, which cab? That's the door 3 right now. Then I save. One more step, I need to go and tell the door, which is door 3, okay, that my friend, you are an elevator. Okay, now we're at the step where we're going to have user in the access control system and allowing them to have access to specific floor depending on what the customer decide. Now, to create user, of course, we need access level. To create access level, we need schedule. So let's get it done the right way the first time. Schedule first. Definition, schedule. You know what? Let's go with a 24/7 schedule. 0000 2400 Monday to Sunday. Alright, we save. We could create other schedule, but we decide to do that one. Then user access level. Okay. Of course, there is always the always values, although those are by default. We going to create our own 24/7 all floor. Here we assign the schedule 24/7, and here we take all floor. That means a user with that access can go any floor once they get inside the cab. Let's create another one, still 24/7, but this time let's say we had, for example, floor group 1 and 3. So 24/7 floor 1 and 3. Okay, so we have 2 access level right now. Now let's get to user. We have different way of creating user. The easy way is to swipe to a reader and use the event. I have access denied card unknown. Right click, edit card, test 1. Access level. Remember this one, we have 2 access available plus the default one. So let's go with this one for that user. Ready? We have another user. Access deny card unknown, normal, because the card, the first time we define that in the system. Right click, edit card, and then all we have to do this time, let's go all floor. So we have 2 user. Let's do a clean up in the screen. Okay, now we have those 2 users. We need to go. Let's test them. First user, floor 1 and 3. Second user, 24/7 all floor. That's it. And remember, the way we design that elevator control, the lobby, oh, the card was too close. The lobby, we set it to always be available. So that's why we only have those 8 other floor. Now let's make a test again. We create 2 user. We have 8 floor. 1 user is always valid all floor, meaning when it come and swipe, we have all the floor come up, meaning we just select. The other user, when he come inside that cab, he can go to the lobby without swapping because the lobby is enabled, or he can swipe and his access give him 1 and 3. We can play like that with all the possible